And hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Mets Musings number 73. I'm Gary.
And I'm Barry.
And Barry, we're starting our weekly version of the show as the very exciting is opening day is tomorrow.
It sure is, Gary, and the Mets have the best record in Major League Baseball on opening day, as they have won 33 of their first 50 opening days. And in fact, they lost their first 8 opening day games, and the Mets are, I assume, the only team that ever won a World Championship before they won an opening day game. And I want to give credit where credit is due, and that is to a young man by the name of Mike Cesarano, who posted on one of the many Facebook sites dedicated to the Mets. True New York Mets fans, true, the Mets have won the most opening days or have the highest winning percentage of any team in baseball. Now, if they could only shorten the season by 161 games.
Come on, optimism. It's April 4th, and everything starts tomorrow, and this is really an exciting world, especially in the entire sports world, because it's also Masters Week. As you know, I'm a big golf nut as well. And so this is very exciting, the flip between the Masters and opening day and all of the games that will be taking place this weekend and of course, the golf tournament. So it's going to be crazy, but fire up that picture-in-picture and get set. But Johan Santana made it. He's here, opening day. Johan on the mound. What could be better?
Oh, that's wonderful news, Gary. It's good for morale, for the fans, and for the players. And opening day is like a national holiday. Has been for many, many years. Now they've kind of, MLB that is, defecated it a little bit by starting this year's opening day in Japan. And as we speak, there is a game going on between the Cardinals and the Marlins, as the Marlins christen their new stadium with one of those wonderful one-game series.
It's not.
You got the first hit in the history of the new Marlins Stadium?
No. Jose Reyes.
Carlos Beltran.
Oh, Carlos Beltran.
Got the first hit in that new stadium history.
Well,
how about that?
I guess I'm somewhat of a traditionalist. I miss the old, where Cincinnati had the first game, and none of these, Sunday, or they used to have a couple of years, they had the Sunday night game, then the Monday opening game. Now they're having a Wednesday night opening night, and then, I don't know. Let's go back a little bit.
And keep it the same. Last year, it was a Sunday night opener, and then, actually, no, it wasn't. I think the Mets opened on a Friday.
Yeah.
But undoubtedly, there was an ESPN opening night game that preceded it. And then the year before, maybe it was on a Monday, and they had a Sunday night opening game. It's just different every single year. And next year, undoubtedly, it's going to be different again when they go to the 215-team leagues. You know there's going to be changes. They're going to have to be with at least one integrated series going on all the time.
Not looking forward to that,
But opening day, the Mets opening day, that is very exciting with Santana on the mound, which is a very pleasant surprise. And hopefully he will continue the tradition of pitching well and getting the Mets a victory on opening day. And then we go from there. And he's also lined up to start the final game of this first Mets homestand. That would be next Wednesday afternoon. And he would be, weather permitting, going up against Washington's phenom, Steven Strasburg.
Wow.
So that'll be exciting.
Exciting this early in the season. And so let's get into the news right away, because we have predictions tonight, and we have a big guest. And so John Neese signs a 5-year, I believe it was $25 million contract today. And that's good news.
He's very exciting.
Ties him up with the Mets. And let's see, Jason Bay is on notice, because it seems like they're starting to get a little short on patience with him. He could be platooning with Mike Baxter, for all we know, before we get out of even the month of April.
Well, Gary, unfortunately, he has a very short leash. He did not have a good spring training. Normally, an established veteran player has a bad spring training. You just shrug it off and say, well, he's still getting his timing down. He's just trying things, just trying new things, working on them. And when the season starts, he'll be okay. But after the first two seasons Bay is put in as a Met, he doesn't get that luxury. He's on a very short leash. It would be quite something if he does end up being a platoon player at that salary. And unfortunately, the Mets really would have a very difficult time trading him unless they get another bad contract back or they eat most of the money. Now, one guy I thought of, we can discuss this whether now or down the road if need be, but the Red Sox, Carl Crawford, has an equally bad contract, which has got 6 years and something like $120 million left on it. And healthy Carl Crawford is one of the most exciting players in baseball, a perfect player to Citi Field. But you have to wonder if you'd want to take on that kind of contract and swap one bad contract for another when the Bay contract has 2 years left while Crawford's has 6. Hopefully we won't have to have this discussion that Bay will, with the shorter left field fences, and have a better season and at least start to pay some dividends.
And and I don't think they're going to be looking for a big contract like that or a center fielder, I think, because I have a feeling that Val Despine is going to be starting to be groomed for that role. They're going to keep him in middle infield, but they're also going to play him in the outfield more. And I think they're looking either down the road or even maybe this year. If Torres is struggling, they could bring up Valdespin and put him in center field. So he may be a long-range project there, but and I know that you think most of the defense could be bad on this team.
Well, I, as a Met fan for almost 50 years, have learned to hope for the best but expect the worst. And the visions of Murphy backpedaling from second base and Lucas Duda coming in from right field for one of those pop-ups kind of brings back memories of Bud House and running out to short left field and nearly being decapitated by Ron Swoboda before Ron Swoboda turned in to a pretty good defensive player. I think he made one kind of memorable catch in the World Series.
Yes, and they did win a World Series, so maybe that says something too.
Well, that's true. Well, the infielders knew better by then to get out of his way.
Well, I'm sure that...
But it is to say it's a work in progress. Obviously, Murphy is a work in progress, and we're just looking for him to play a decent second base, and I think he will. Duda, as long as he can hit the way he's been hitting, will live with his defense.
I thought, look...
He's a great spring training.
How many teams live with Adam Dunn out there in right field? The Nationals had him playing right field for a while there, and he played a lot of first base also, but... as you say, if he's hitting, you can live with his defense, and I think Tejada will be fine at shortstop. There's no problem there. In fact, he may. I know this is going to be sacrilegious, but he may be even a tad better defensively than Reyes, only because Reyes had the speed to make up for a lot of his playing out of position or whatever. Whereas Tejada is very smart in positioning himself with the batters and whatever the pitches are. So he could, we could see even more of an improvement there. I think he'll hit pretty well, and he'll pop the occasional home run. Is he going to hit 350? No. I think he's got the potential to hit 270 or 280. Murphy, we know, is going to hit, but as you said, it's the field. It's always been an adventure. But you know what? I don't. The last week or two in spring training, I haven't heard much about him goofing up anything. So. And
he's willing to put the work in.
And he's willing to do that. Yes.
And we have Ike Davis for first base.
Right.
And Will being there save the Mets a lot of errors and hopefully a lot of runs. Because he is like a vacuum over there. His defense is much, if not more, than his offense was sorely missed last year.
And it's going to be interesting to see how these guys bloom. I think Toley's going to be he's shown a lot of improvement defensively this spring, and he's got some experience under his belt too, which is always a big thing. And he's got Nikias backing him up, who we know is a good catcher. So I'm kind of excited. Don't think they're going to win the World Series, but I definitely think they're heading in the right direction. Now, the bullpen's going to be a question mark. Francisco and Rauch both had awful springs. Francisco had a sore knee, but he took a shot. He said he felt great. Ramirez struggled, but Parnell looked very good. There may even be a little depth there as Herrera and the young Josh Edgin. He looked very good in spring training. And, maybe there's a little bit of depth and there might be some flexibility. Schwinden is down in Buffalo. They always could use him, bring him up. And if people find their roles and do their roles correctly, it may not be as bad as a bullpen as we think.
Well, Gary, one thing that shocked both of us was the fact that Tim Burdick did actually make it to opening day, and he will be the lefty out of the Mets bullpen. And last year, he was the most reliable guy out there.
Right.
And Andres Torres has made it to opening day, so he will patrol center field. And he is one of the better defensive center fielders in the game. And Josh Toley looks better defensively. He has to improve, like you said, with experience and hopefully learning the pitching staff. One thing the Mets do have is they're 5 starters, and they're going to be the 5 guys. There's really nobody ready to push any of them. So with Santana at number 1, that certainly makes that starting pitching look a lot better. We just have to keep our fingers crossed that Santana can give the Mets 30, 32 starts and be close to the pitcher he was before the surgery.
Well, it'll be interesting. They're going to try to spread him out as much as possible, maybe even give him an extra day, especially early in the season because of the cooler weather and stuff. And it should be easier also because of the off days, so they can spread him out a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what he has. He has looked pretty good in spring training, did not pitch badly. Pelfrey started spring training terribly, but has closed out looking pretty good, and his ball has been sinking again. And that's one of the big things that they were looking for. His velocity has improved a little, and his ball has been going down. So maybe he will turn the corner. I know we say this every year, and hopefully one year it may happen.
It is an even year, Gary. He did win 15 games in 2010.
And maybe he's just one of those.
15 again.
Maybe
take 15 from Pelfrey.
He's a thick-headed guy that's gotta get knocked into him a couple of times before it sticks. That he's got to keep that ball down, and maybe they adjusted something in his delivery that has improved. But he has shown improvement the last 2 games. Pitched very well. Dylan G has had a very decent spring. Pitched very well. He ended today with against the Yankees. And let's see, John Nee signed a big contract, had a very good spring. So the pitching could be set. And again, with Santana back talking to these guys, they could be primed. The thing is the innings, if they can get into that past the 5th, into the 6th, and maybe even the 7th inning and take some of the strain off of the bullpen. That's what killed the bullpen last year. They were used a lot, and they were used a lot early, and a lot of the games they had leads in. That team could have been better than 77 wins last year. I forget the number. What was it, like 15 blown saves, or it might even been higher than that.
Well, I'm
And
not sure what the number was, but a lot of those blown saves happen in the sixth, seventh inning, and a lot of games are
right,
decided in those innings now because
right.
most teams have a reliable closer, and if they get a lead going to the ninth or even the eighth inning,
Hmm.
for the most part, that team will hold the lead. But it's those sixth and seventh innings that kill the poor teams. And like you said, the Mets do have depth in that bullpen. I can easily see Ramirez and even Parnell, who's had the best spring of all the pitchers,
Right.
getting some closing opportunities. Now, unfortunately, if Parnell becomes the closer again, it probably means the Mets have already fallen out of contention, and guys like Rauch and Francisco could bring back something in a trade because teams in contention are always looking for arms in that bullpen. But we're not there yet. They haven't played their first game yet. So everyone's optimistic at the start of the season, even when the prognosis, like it is for the Mets this year, it isn't good. And I guess having said that, do you want to jump into the next segment of our podcast?
All right, we can do that, or why don't we take a break here and then come back and do a little short thing, and come back with our guest and our predictions for the year.
Okay.
All right, so with that, we will be back after this message. For all the listeners of Talking Golf with Gary, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 14-day trial to give you a chance to check out their service. Over 75,000 titles to choose from in many different categories, including science fiction, mysteries, biographies, sports, computers, you name it, they have it. To download your free audiobook today, go to audiblepodcast.com/Talking Golf with Gary. Again, that's audiblepodcast.com.
And I hit the wrong one.
/Talking Golf with Gary for your free audiobook today. Or you can hit audiblepodcast.com Mets Musings. That would work also.
Okay. What he said.
You can now hear our show while on the go with Stitcher Smart Radio. On-demand news, talk, and more on your mobile phone. The latest episode is always available for you. No syncing needed and no memory or storage wasted. Available for your iPhone, Android phone, WebOS phone, or your BlackBerry. Downloading is easy. Go to Stitcher.com or check out your app store. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio. Tim Tebow is here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We didn't have a story on him tonight.
He's not our special guest?
No, he's not our special guest. But somebody
Okay.
just as good. We have
Better.
Mike
Oh,
from San Francisco, the owner, operator, chief bottle washer of grubbyglove.com. He's got a new design. It's a great blog. We want everybody to go look at it. It's terrific. And Mike, welcome to the show.
Gary, thanks very much. Gary and Barry, how are you this evening?
hey, Mike.
We're just fine, and we're getting ready for our big predictions for the year. And Barry, do you want to start her off?
Okay, we're going to start off by giving our forecast for the Mets. And I have always tried to be honest. And what I will say is, though the Mets do get Santana back, and hopefully Ike Davis will be around for a full season, subtracting the losses of Reyes and Beltran, at best it's a wash. And the division is just too strong. The Marlins have improved, the Nationals have improved, and the Mets got 77 wins last year. So I'm giving about 75 wins this year. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because if you go back to the early 80s, especially that 1983 season when they started to make progress, It's tough for me to see the Mets getting too far above 75 wins. Everything has to break, right? It usually doesn't. I would like to say that Santana's going to make those 30, 32 starts. I have to see it to believe it. Things can always change. The Nationals and the Marlins, their number one starters, are also coming off major surgery. Obviously, if they go down and Santana stays healthy, that prediction will be low, and I'll be very happy to be wrong about it. But right now, I realistically can only give the Mets about 75 wins, and I have them finishing last in the National League East.
Okay. Mike, you're a transplanted New Yorker out to the West Coast, but a big Mets fan. What's your feelings on this season?
I pretty much agree with what Barry said, Gary, except I have to say that the team is a little bit thin. If any of the major starters get injured, I don't see anybody on the bench or at AAA or even AA that they can bring up to help. So in order to get that 75 wins, everybody's going to have to stay very healthy. And I'm not seeing that. I mean, these are our Mets that we're talking about here. And we know sooner or later, usually sooner, somebody's going to get hurt. Mm-hmm. So having said that, I see the team winning maybe 70, no more than 72 games, and a last place finish. But we are heading in the right direction. There is light at the end of the tunnel, I will say that.
Well, I guess I'm the optimist in the group. I'm going to go with 81 wins. I think they will break 500, and I think that the law of probability shows that everybody's got to stay healthy 1 year after the last couple of years and the amount of injuries. And what the heck, I'm always wrong anyway. So last year I picked 85. I'm coming down. But I'll say 81, 500 record. That'll probably be last in the NL East. Though I'm not sure. I'm still not sold on the Nationals. As everybody else seems to be. I know one guy even picked them to go to the World Series. I don't see it, but what do I know? So NL East, Barry, who do you like in the NL East then?
Okay, we're going to begin making our predictions for the divisions and the wild cards. And I have gone back and forth with this about 8 zillion times. And I finally decided that it is time for the Phillies to be dethroned. But the only team that, at least on paper, looks like they could dethrone them are the Atlanta Braves with that pitching, especially that bullpen. So I'm picking the Braves to win the NL East in a dogfight over the Phillies. I don't think the Nationals or the Marlins, and obviously nor the Mets, are ready to contend in the NL East.
Okay, Mike?
That's interesting. I, too, like the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm real concerned about the right side of their infield. Obviously, Chase Utley and Ryan Howard are injured, and who knows how long it's going to take for them to come back. But that pitching just really makes them the number one choice. Although I don't think they're going to win as many games as they did last year. I like switching to the wild card. I do like the Braves, but I'm going to give the Marlins the edge, especially if Josh Johnson stays healthy all year. And if Reyes stays healthy all year and Giancarlo Stanton has a monster year, I think they are good enough now. They brought in enough talent where I think they're going to be the wild card team.
All right, I'm going to agree with Barry on this one. I think the Braves dethrone the Phillies this year. I think the Phillies are old, and I think injuries are going to get to them, even with that pitching staff. If Halladay goes down or Hamels goes down or even Lee, and they've all spent times on the disabled list in the last couple. Well, Halladay really hasn't, but the other two guys have had small stints. So I'm going to go with the Braves. over the Phillies in the NL East. And I also have a prediction here from our good friend Jerry from Long Island, and he is picking the Phillies in the NL East. So Jerry's keeping with the thing. I don't know. I'm not impressed with the Phillies. I think they're getting old, and as you said, Mike, I think the right side of the infield is a big concern for them, and we've seen a trend there now with Utley getting hurt the last couple of years, and of course Howard with that injury. Who knows when he's coming back and what condition he will be in. So I'm gonna go with the Braves in the East. Barry, you want to do the wild card, or you want to do your central pick?
Okay, well, Mike kind of got me discombobulated by jumping to the wild card, but you know what? Let's do the division winners, and then we'll get to the wild card.
Okay.
I'm going with the Reds in the NL Central Division, and not solely for the reason people are thinking, and that, of course, is the acquisition of our good buddy Mr. Matt Latos. Okay, well, but yeah, I'm picking the Reds. I just have this crazy feeling that the Reds are going to stumble out of the gate early, and quite possibly, because if the Reds did win or do win, it'll be in spite of Dusty Baker. Now, Mike may want to weigh in on Dusty Baker since he followed him when he managed the Giants for a long time. But I've always thought that he's one of the worst managers in baseball. And I see the Mets. Okay, I'm okay. The Reds stumbling out early. Maybe the managers change. Maybe even a guy like Jack McKeon, who must be about 150 years old, and I believe managed the Reds before, returning and maybe taking over that team and leading the Reds to the NL Central title. The Brewers losing Fielder, I think that's too big of a loss for them to overcome. The Cardinals are obviously losing Albert Pujols, and now Chris Carpenter going down for a long time. And, you know, Carlos Beltran is a very nice player, but he's no Albert Pujols. And the Cardinals do get Adam Wainwright back, but I guess he and Carpenter end up being a wash. A healthy Carpenter, I could have seen the Cardinals challenging for that division title. And there's no need to mention the other three teams in that division because they're just terrible.
Mm-hmm. Mike?
No prediction for the Cubs winning the Central this year, as promised. The Reds fairly handily, I think.
Well, okay, I'll start with the team that I think is going to win. It's going to be the St. Louis Cardinals, in my opinion and judgment. You know, they always find a way to win, and obviously I would have much preferred to see Albert Pujols stay a Cardinal because of the goofy romantic in me that wants to see a superstar in just one uniform throughout his entire career. Having said that, I think Carlos Beltran can hit. I think they've got Holiday. They've got Berkman, who I think played a little bit above his level last year, but he can still hit. And I like this kid at third base, David Freese. I think he's a real good ball player. I expect him to step up. So I think their attack is going to be pretty good. I'm a little bit concerned about their pitching, but I think they still have enough to hold off the Brewers and the Reds. The Brewers first, I don't know that they're going to have the attack that they did last year. And I'm still questionable about Ryan Braun, and I can't wait to see what he does with the bat this year. I'm all sorts of curious about that. And I think, although I didn't necessarily think that Fielder protected him, he certainly enabled him to see a lot more fastballs and get some good pitches to hit. The pitching staff with the Brewers is really, really good. Mm-hmm. So that's really good. That's really going to help them. Switching over to the Reds, it's interesting that what you said, Barry, about Dusty Baker, because I don't think that he's a particularly good in-game manager, having caught his act out here in San Francisco for all those years. And he does have a tendency to overuse and burn out his pitchers, like what he did with Mark Pryor in Chicago. Burnt out another guy there, too. I don't quite recall his name now. But if the Cardinals falter, then I think the Brewers and the Reds could battle it out between the two of them. But all things being equal, St. Louis will win this division.
Okay. And I'm going to be obstinate to everybody again and go for the Brewers. I think they, as you said, Mike, they still have that good pitching staff, and I think they'll find a way to manufacture runs, and I think Ryan Braun will probably have another good year or decent year. Yes, they'll miss Prince Fielder's bat, but I think they have enough. I'm not sold on Cincinnati. And again, I think Dusty Baker will probably be the first manager to be fired this year because, like Barry said, I think they'll get off to a terrible start. And St. Louis, new manager, new first baseman. They lose Carpenter. It's a lot, and I do agree that with you, Mike, that they do find a way to win, but that was with a different manager, so I'm not sure. So I'm going to stick with the Brewers. They were last year's division champion, and until somebody beats them, I'll stick with them. And we'll move now to the NL West. Barry?
Okay, this was the easiest one for me. And, Mike, you will appreciate this. I'm going with the Giants. I think they are by far the best team in the National League West. I think Arizona was way over their heads last year. I think the Dodgers will be a good team this year, especially now that they have settled their ownership difficulties, which now everything is solvent with them. And when a team is using 178-year-old Jamie Moyer as their number 2 starter, that being the Colorado Rockies, I think you can pretty much discount them from the get-go. And San Diego doesn't have the pitching, and they are already in a rebuilding mode, having traded 4 prospects and trading Matt Latos to the Reds. So San Diego is clearly in a rebuilding phase. So that leaves the Giants. They have the great pitching. They have enough offense. I think they have enough offense. But how much offense do they need with that pitching? And I guess if John Neese is pretty happy today, you could double that by about like 20-fold with the contract that Matt Cain just signed. So I'm picking the Giants. I'm picking them to win the NL West fairly handily. And I'm going to jump in with the wild cards here. And like Mike says, the Cardinals do find a way, and the National League is not particularly strong. So I'm going to say the Phillies and the Cardinals will be the 2 wild cards, and the Giants will end up being the National League champion.
Mike?
Yeah, interesting. Well, first of all, I want to say about the Colorado Rockies that somebody's going to have to sit me down one day and explain to me just exactly what it is they're doing, okay? Because I don't get it, I don't know, and I'm not sure that they know. That much said, San Diego, I feel badly, very badly for them. Now, the 3 teams that I think are good, the Dodgers, the D-backs, and the Giants. Of them, I, too, am going to select the San Francisco Giants to win the division, and not just because I live here. But I think there's one reason here that some people aren't aware of, and his name is Madison Bumgarner. I think he's a huge key for this team. I think he's about to step up and become the 3rd ace after Lincecum and Kane, who, by the way, is worth every penny of the money that he got. I think
Mike?
there's going to be...
I'm very aware of Madison Bumgarner, and you'll find out shortly.
Okay.
I apologize for interrupting.
Sorry.
I had to throw it in.
I think you're breaking up. I'm sorry.
Barry, did we lose you?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, I didn't quite catch all of that, but at any rate, getting back to the Giants, Buster Posey appears to be healthy. Sandoval is playing very well. Melky Cabrera had a fantastic spring. The guy who got off to a really poor start is our young Mr. Pagan. Actually, not that young, but young enough. He's going to be hitting 6th They're going to try to get him going a little bit down there. But the Giants, with that best pitching staff in the West, are going to take the division. Now, wild card, the Diamondbacks. You know, everything went right for them last year, but karma has a way of evening out. I don't think everything is going to go right for the D-backs this year, just like almost everything went wrong for the Giants last year. I think it's all going to even itself out. The Diamondbacks have a lot of very talented players, but in my opinion, their bullpen is a little suspect, and I'm not convinced that Ian Kennedy is as good as his 20-win and 4-loss record last year indicated. I think they're going to fall back a little, and it's going to be enough to make the difference between them and the Giants. Just want to mention a few words about the Dodgers, and that's D. Gordon, the kid second baseman that they have. Or is he a shortstop? I'm sorry, I'm blanking out right now. I think he's the kid shortstop. At any rate, he is rocket quick. I saw him down in spring training, and I took my eyes off the action for like a second or a second and a half, and like he was already on a single halfway between first and second. I mean, this guy is going to steal a lot of bases, and he's going to go from first to third all the time. So they're certainly going to have at least one guy in scoring position a lot this year that they didn't have last. Interesting division. I think the NL West is getting to be a pretty tough neighborhood.
Okay. And our friend, I don't know did I mention his NL Central pick? Well, Jerry from Long Island is picking Cincinnati in the Central, and his West pick is the Diamondbacks. My NL West pick is going to be agreeing with all of you guys, and I'm going to go with the San Francisco Giants. I just think that pitching staff, and as you said, Mike, Posey is healthy, and everything went wrong last year, and I think that they are going to be victorious this year and take that division. My two wild cards, as now we expand to two this year, I'm going to pick the Marlins for one and the Cardinals for the other. That's my two wild card picks, and Jerry, he's picking the Marlins and the Brewers for the wild card. So, and should I just go right to the NL champion then? Jerry is picking the Milwaukee Brewers for the NL champion, and I'm going to pick the San Francisco Giants. Anybody else?
I actually agree. That's a scoop.
I'm also going to pick the Giants on the strength of the pitching. The pitching staff is just perfect for these short series. Just perfect. So I'm going to select the Giants for the championship of the NL.
Barry?
Okay, once again, I'm picking the Giants to win the pennant. I'm not going to scream the Giants win the pennant, the Giants win the pennant. But I am picking them to win the pennant. And Gary, are we allowed to agree like this?
I don't see why not.
I thought the bylaws prohibited it.
It's a nice, friendly show.
Yeah, the pitching is, like Mike said, is in a short series is almost lethal, and we didn't even get the bullpen, which can withstand the loss of Ramon Ramirez, who I have said and will say again, I think will turn out to be the Mets closer down the road. And Mike, I understand you said Angel Pagano is going to bat 6 for the Giants.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, I was reading it in the Chronicle. This morning, and he has had just an awful spring. He's been pressing. He's never really gotten it going. They've done everything that they can to say, relax. You know, we want you. You're going to play 150 games for us this year, 155. Just nothing's worked. I think his spring training average is 181. The last time I looked, brutal, just brutal. I mean, he was brought in here to hit leadoff, no question about it.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
I'm surprised. I mean, I really am. I'm surprised. I just thought he'll come in here and he'll hit at least 280, 285, and he still may. He's gonna. I mean, he will eventually find Triples Alley because this ballpark is perfect for him. the AT&T Park.
He probably needs a
What
couple
a
of
horrible
those.
start he's getting.
He probably needs a couple of those to relax, and then maybe he'll take off from there.
Exactly.
All right.
You also know that the Giants general manager, Brian Sabian, if they're in the running at the trading deadline, he'll make a move.
Yes, he will.
All right, let's move to the American League, and maybe in the interest of time, you want to give all your division champions, Barry?
Absolutely.
All
I'm going
right.
with the Yankees in the East. I'm going to be different from the masses. I'm not going to pick the Tigers. I'm going to, for no logical reason except I just want to be different, I'm going to pick the White Sox. And I see a guy you mentioned earlier in the podcast, Adam Dunn, rebounding and having a big season for them. And I think they have just enough pitching to overtake the Tigers. And I think the whatever they call themselves, but that the team that shares the LA market with the Dodgers to win the American League West, I think fairly handling over the Rangers, who I'm not sure are going to be able to overcome what happened to them last season. So it's the Yankees, White Sox, and Angels, and I'm picking the Rays and the Blue Jays as my wild card teams. And as much as I hate to say this, and it pains me to say this, I am picking the Yankees to be victorious in the American League. As I kind of alluded to last week, Kentucky did win the national championship. Every time Kentucky wins, the Yankees win. Now, any reason for that not to continue this year? In fact, since we're going to try and speed this up a little bit, this is the 5th-year anniversary of that famous Yankees-Giants World Series, which happened to be the first baseball I ever watched. And I see a repeat of that with the series going to the Yankees. Ironically, the 62 San Francisco Giants, they had a Pagan on their roster as well, Jose Pagan, as to this season's Giants squad. So I'm picking the Yankees over the Giants, and the Yankees as the 2012 World Series champions.
Wow.
Thank you,
Mike?
I'm going wow as well. But interestingly enough, Barry and I are almost on the exact same page. I see the Yankees taking the American League East. Excellent hitting, just pitching is definitely getting better. American League Centrals, I see the Tigers as the strongest team in this division, which I think they can win by 10 games, although they're not necessarily the best team in the league, but they'll really beat up on those other AL Central teams, with the exception of an improving Kansas City Royal team, but more on them maybe next year. The American League West, I honestly don't know. The Rangers, two-time defending champions, they're still very formidable. They've got good pitching. The Angels brought in Paul Hulse, and they have a superb pitching staff. I think they've got some young players who, if they step up, I think that will enable the Angels to win the division, so I'm going to go with them. So I've got the Angels, the Tigers, and the Yankees winning the division, and the two wild card teams are going to be the Rangers from the West and the Tampa Bay Rays from the East. And they've got excellent pitching. They're a great defensive team, and they've got enough hitting. It's, I'd say, above average, and that's going to get them the wild card. I look for the Red Sox to fall back a little bit this year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And who's your AL champ, and who is your World Series champion?
The Yankees win the American League, and the Yankees win the World Series against the Giants. But the Giants are good enough to win at least 2 games, so it's certainly not going to be a sweep. The World Series will be at least 6 games, and hopefully 7.
All right. Well, let's see. I've got the AL East. Our good friend Jerry is picking the Yankees, and I am picking the Tampa Bay Rays. I like the Rays. I don't like the Yankees, so I refuse to pick them no matter what. In the Central, I agree. Jerry is picking the Tigers. I'm also picking the Tigers. And in the West, Jerry is picking the Angels. I'm also picking the Angels. My two wild cards are the Yankees and the Rangers. And Jerry's two wild cards are the Rays and the Rangers. We a little flip-flop there. My AL champion eventually will be the Angels. And I have the Giants and the Angels in the World Series with the Giants and that pitching staff coming out on top.
Okay.
So there.
That's the 10-year anniversary World Series there, Gary.
Yeah.
Cool. Another parade.
Thanks a lot.
Another parade in San Francisco.
And let's go to MVPs and really look into the crystal ball and take a wild guess at this. American League MVP, Barry.
I'm going to go on a limb here and pick Albert Pujols as the American League MVP. I don't think he'll have any difficulty adapting to a new league. I agree with Mike. It would have been nice for the sake of baseball and for the sake of tradition for him to have remained a Cardinal. He could have lived quite nicely on $220 million for 10 years, but he went for the money grab, and I hope he's happy, but I don't think it will affect his performance. I'm picking Pujols to win the MVP.
And your NL MVP.
I'm going out on a limb, and also a guy who's probably celebrating pretty nicely these days because he just signed a humongous contract. I'm picking Joey Votto to win his second MVP in the last 3 seasons.
All right. And your Cy Young Award winners.
Okay, well, Mike, I alluded to it earlier. I'm well aware of Madison Bumgarner, and I know he was one of the best pitchers in baseball in the second half of last season. It's going to be really fun for the Giants to try and sign him after locking up Lincecum and came to these long-term contracts with Bumgarner on the way, quite possibly giving them 3 number 1 stars. So he's kind of a dark horse pick for the Cy Young Award. And in the AL, I'm picking the Rays' David Price.
All right. And Mike, your AL and NL MVPs?
I like Pujols as well. And in the National League, I think I'm going to go back with Matt Kemp.
Okay.
And every once in a while, they do pick an MVP who does not win, who is not on a division winner.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be a monster this year. Although I expect Giancarlo Stanton to give him a run for his money. That leads me to the Cy Youngs, yes?
Yes.
I am going to go with Madison Bumgarner in the National League, and I'm going to go with CeCe this year. I know he's a Yankee, Gary, I'm sorry, but he's been everything that they've wanted, and he's due to have a really great year. You know, he's certainly got another one of those 11-0 stints in him that he did with that half a year for the Brewers. I heard that. And so I think I'm going to go – I heard that. I'm going to go with CeCe.
Okay, my picks for MVP in the American League, no big surprise, Albert Pujols. I'm going to change my NL MVP, Barry. We were talking before, and upon reflection, I'm going to go with Buster Posey. I'm going to say he's going to have a monster year and be the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And my Cy Young, I'm going to go with Verlander again. And in the National League, I'm going to go with Lincecum. I still think he's the number 1 guy out there, and coming off the contract, he'll be relaxed, he'll be settled in, and I think he's going to have a big year. So that's my picks.
Well, I like your Lincecum pick, and I hope you're right about that. One thing I wanted to interject, before Yankees trade for Miguel Pineda, I had traded for him in my fantasy league, along with Lincecum. And wouldn't you know it, the Yankees 2 days later traded for Miguel Pineda, who I never would have traded for had I known he would end up on the Yankees. And wouldn't you know it, my luck, he gets injured, starting the season on the disabled list. And with the Yankees having about 43 other starting pitchers in their system, you might not see Pineda in the big leagues at all this season. This might be a lost year for him. And it's unfortunate because I kind of looked over the pitching staffs of most of, if not all, the teams. And all kidding aside, I think Pineda could be the number one starter for a good 10 out of the other 29 teams in the big leagues. But he's buried on the Yankees. Even if he had remained healthy, there was definitely a chance he could have started the year in AAA. Now he's hurt, and he's probably going to be a non-factor for the Yankees, but they have so much depth. And as you guys know, whatever they need, they go out and buy anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my little tale of woe in my fantasy life. And why did the NBA have to make these players play one season of college basketball? Because none of those Kentucky players are collegians. They should have went right from high school into the NBA, and we could be talking about somebody else winning the World Series this year.
This is the year the streak ends.
I hope you're right, but I think you're wrong. But I hope you're right.
And
Mike, one other thing, I just wanted to bring this up.
Okay.
And I agree wholeheartedly, but nobody even gave a mention to the Boston Red Sox, and I totally agree. I think they are looking at a long season. And last week we talked about all the closers going down, and they lost their closer too. And it's quite possible that I'm hearing that Andrew Bailey might miss a good part of, if not the whole season. I don't think the Red Sox really have anybody in back of him that can go and close games for them. So that's a huge loss. And I think Josh Beckett is a question mark. I think in that division, the Red Sox might be lucky to see 500 this year.
Yeah, I think they're going to finish behind the Blue Jays this year, and I think they're going to be in total disarray. There's a lot of noise coming out of Boston already. Now it comes out that Bobby Valentine is going to do a weekly spot on the Michael Kay show. Why, I don't really know. Because
that's interesting. I had not heard that.
Yes, and it was big talk today on the way home. So I think they have a lot of problems. And did I read that Beckett had a thumb injury?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they both have thumb injuries, but Beckett is only expected to lose no more than 2 starts. He should be back fairly soon, but this injury to Bailey, that's going to take months.
Yeah,
I'm not talking 2. I'm looking at, probably at 4. And they don't have a quality reliever behind him. And they're not going to move Daniel Bard back to the bullpen from the rotation. So, I'm sure they'll throw somebody out there. But in that division, if you don't have a closer, you're in trouble.
Right.
So, and in addition to that, as Barry mentioned, the Toronto is getting much better. So I think that they may actually find themselves in 4th, just ahead of the Baltimore Orioles.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I don't see them. And as I said, there's a lot of dissension, and I'm not sure that Bobby Valentine is going to be the most beloved person up there. But that remains to be seen also. So, but I think it's going to be a long year for the Red Sox.
The Red Sox to be what to baseball is what the Jets are to the NFL.
Well, that's
very interesting with that team.
It's a very good comparison, as a lot of people today in Boston were making the same comment about this whole Bobby Valentine thing. That they are turning into the New York Jets, and that was named specifically, although they did not play any great announcements like when Tebow came here.
I was just going to say, who would play Tim Tebow on the Red Sox?
But
we were Tebowed out. I guess not.
You never have
I wasn't expecting that one. I'm going to hold the phone a foot away from my ear from now on.
Oh, okay. But, I think it's going to be a long season.
Yes, it is.
And Mike,
fellas, yeah, can I mention something before
Yes.
I sign off here and let you fellas
Sure.
finish up the show?
I was just going to mention that.
Yeah, I want to mention a post that I have on my Grubby Glove blog. If you go to grubbyglove.com and you click on the blog, you'll scroll down to a game for Brian Stowe. Stowe, of course, was the Giants fan who was beaten badly, severely, to the point of where he may be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. And he's got the motor skills of a child. And I'm suggesting that this season, because Brian Stowe attended one game and lost the life that he had, and is now a non-productive person and will never be the man that he once was, I'm suggesting that we each give one game to Brian Stowe by donating the funds that we would spend on that game to the Support for Brian Stowe website that the Stowe Family Foundation has set up. I've already donated the cost of the ticket, and I figured $10 for the Coke and $10 for the hot dog. I think the prices went up this year at AT&T. So it was a $65 ticket, so I'm happy to say I wrote a check for $85, and I sent it in. I wanted to be the first. So that's the sort of thing that I'm pitching in the article. I'm pitching it here, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to mention it to your listeners. Donations can be made at the Brian Stowe website, the Stowe Foundation. It's www.support, and then the number 4, Brian, B-R-Y-A-N, Stowe, S-T-O-W. So supportforbrianstowe.com. You can make your donations there. No money is going through the Grubby Glove website. That's just where I've posted the article that I call A Game for Brian Stowe. I want to mention that in addition to your podcast, Mets Musings, that the fellows out here on the Giants Torture Cast podcast have also mentioned it twice. And this particular post about Brian Stowe has been reblogged 5 times. So it's beginning to catch on a little bit.
Oh, that's terrific. And why don't you give that address one more time?
Sure. Thanks, Gary. It's support for, the number 4, Brian, B-R-Y-A-N, Stowe, S-T-O-W, supportforbrianstowe.com.
And that's a wonderful cause, and I hope everybody will take Mike's suggestion and chip in instead of going to a game, give that money to a very worthwhile cause.
And I agree with you, Gary, and I agree with you, Mike. It is a very worthy cause. And considering that we're hearing that his medical bills, when all is said and done, could be somewhere in the neighborhood. If I'm off by a few million, so be it. But I heard something like $100 million in medical expenses he may incur. And it's some obscene number.
It's outrageous. Yeah, he's just received round-the-clock care for a year now, with lots of physical therapy and speech therapy, and it's just he's not going to get a whole lot better. He's going to be in that wheelchair for the rest of his life. So he'll need a significant amount of care. I haven't heard a figure up at around 100. The last I heard, it was around 50. But, who knows? I mean, who knows what the medical costs are going to do?
Right.
Medical costs, all they seem to do is go up, and up.
Yeah.
Well, this is true.
But I appreciate your saying that it's a worthwhile cause, and I'm grateful that you're gracious and let me mention it on the Mets Musings. Thank you for that.
There's no problem with that, and we always love having you on the show, and we will definitely do this as the season goes on. And thanks for being on tonight.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Barry. Fellas, take care, and let's go Mets.
Okay.
And let's hope
All
for
right.
the best. And
Okay.
we're going to move to birthdays.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday! A celebration anew! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you!
And Barry, our birthdays for April 4th. The celebrities are Craig T. Nelson, remember Coach? He turned 66 today. And Robert Downey Jr., the Iron Man, is 47. And let's see, street artist or street magician David Blaine turns 39 years old.
And for his next trick, can he make the Wilpons disappear?
And also on the 4th is Jamie Lynn Spears. She turns 21 years old today.
And I guess she's the other Spears, but I think now more with the way Britney's career has kind of gone into talk, maybe she's the other Spears sister.
I guess so.
I didn't notice that there was such an age difference between the two of them.
Yeah.
I thought they were a lot close, but maybe Britney is 30, going on 21.
There you go.
The life she's led.
And Mets birthdays from for this week is today. Jim Fregosi, it turned 70 years old.
With tongue firmly planted in cheek, one of the best players in the history of the Mets franchise. Yes,
Well,
like I said, firmly planted in cheek.
Jim always admitted that he never missed a bar that was open when he was in New York. He hit them all every night, it seems. So that's why he was not the best of in condition to play when he came here to the Mets. But he made it to 70, so happy birthday to Jim Fregosi, 70 years old. And also today is Tommy Herr, who turns 56 years old. And Eric Vallant, who turns 35.
Yeah, to him, a nice little left-handed hitter from the early 2000s. I think he might have been the last Met player to hit, one of the last Met players to hit for the cycle. And then he had a nice little left-hand swing. That would be Eric Vallant. And also, we don't normally do this, but we have two cases where it is probably appropriate to mention these great all-time Mets who are no longer with us. One of them who would have been 88 years old today. Of course, Gil Hodges.
Right.
Who passed away just over 40 years ago, just before what would have been his 48th birthday. Always remember where I was when I heard about the passing of Gil Hodges. So that was a shock to everybody.
Yes, it was. And let's see. Following up now on April 6th is Andy Phillips. He turned 35. And
being an adult with the Mets, but did more as a Yankee.
Right.
Career.
Then the other player you were talking about that passed away recently, and that'll be Gary Carter, who would have been 58 on April 8th. Pete Walker turns 43 on the 8th. Timo Perez turns 37 on the 8th. And on April 10th is Phil Hennigan, turns 66. Leroy Stanton turns 66.
Not the greatest week for birthdays, Gary, although I still see Timo Perez still rounding third base, trying to score on that Todd Zeile hit in the 2000 World Series.
Yeah.
Once again, he's going to get thrown out at the plate.
And one death this week, as Giorgio Canalia died of a massive heart attack. He was big, of course, back in, the 70s with the Cosmos?
Late 70s. Remember when the Cosmos were they were
big
the
time.
Yankees were.
Yeah.
Getting 75,000 coming into Giant Stadium. Of course, Canalia, along with Pele and Franz Beckenbauer.
Right.
They imported all these great players in, and the Cosmos were right there with the Yankees,
Yeah.
believe it or not, in the 70s in popularity.
Right.
I even watched a game or two when the Cosmos were that popular. And I certainly remember Giorgio Canaglia, one of the greatest soccer players of all time,
Right.
imported from Italy, and that was unexpected and sad news.
Yes, dead
But
at the
we
age
could
of
segue this to something
65.
that is that's happy news and something that we can end on a lighter note. Do you want to take this because we missed this last time?
Yes, we missed the acknowledging that on March 30th was National Cleavage Day. And I don't know how we missed it, especially with President Willie here. I'm surprised he wasn't aware of it.
Missed that. And that President Willie didn't remind us of it.
Right. And so we like to acknowledge major holidays such as this and National Cleavage Day. And Barry, after extensive research, and I forced myself to do this research. I know you're the research guy, but I worked my fingers to the quick here, typing all over to find out who won this poll of the best celebrity cleavage. And in the UK is where there seems to be a big holiday. It was won by a United Kingdom talk show host, or as they call it, a presenter, Holly Willoughby. She won the Best National Cleavage Day Celebrity Cleavage Award, and so all congratulations to Holly on that terrific and prestigious award.
I know it was a tough job for you, Gary. Like you said, you worked your fingers to the whatever, but it was a tough job. But somebody has to do it.
This is true.
I also echo your sentiments and acknowledge the accomplishments of Holly Willoughby and congratulate her on winning such a prestigious award. And we will not be forgetful next year, and we will mention this special holiday before it actually occurs. We won't make that mistake again.
That's right.
We blow up our predictions for the season.
That's right. And I think that's going to be it for this show. It was certainly a fun show. We want to thank Mike all the way from San Francisco. And please check out his blog at www.grubbyglove, GRUBBY, glove.com. It's a great blog, and you'll surely enjoy it. And to take a look at the supportforbrianstowe.com. It's www.support, the number 4, Brian, BRYANSTOW.com. Please check that out and give a donation if you can. So until next week, Barry.
To interrupt you, but we did also want to acknowledge Jerry from Long Island and his picks, although I don't quite see where he's getting the Brewers from. But anyway, thank you, Jerry from Long Island. And I also, like you, want to thank Mike for his wonderful contribution and his wonderful Grubby Glove blog for being a guest on number 73 this evening.
Right. And we'll be back next week with number 74.
Okay.
So until then, have a great week. Enjoy opening day, and let's go Mets.